Hello everybody, welcome to this week's video. It is currently it is February 15th. This is hour 18 of me not having power. I'm extremely bored. I pretty much have no cell service either. And I just thought to myself, what have I been meaning to do forever? And it's film this video. This is gonna be a juicy video all about my best and worst purchases that I have ever made. I've seen a bunch of these videos on YouTube. A lot of YouTubers like to film them. They usually do the best and worst purchases of that single year. I don't have enough of like the worst purchases to fill up a single year. So I decided to just compile all of my worst purchases of my entire life and the best purchases and tell you some juicy stories about when I didn't make the best financial decisions. For the most part, I haven't done anything too crazy. I don't like to spend my money on a lot of designer items, and I feel like that's what a lot of these videos are about, or like buying $2,000 shoes and then never wearing them. I just don't really see myself spending like bucketfuls of money for like some Prada shoe. If that's your thing, go for it. Like if you are a purse gal, that's amazing. I just would rather buy different things like expensive home decor. I have 10 of the best purchases written down in this notebook and 10 of the worst, so I'm just gonna alternate between the best and the worst. They're in no particular order. Let's get started. My first best purchase that I think I've made, and that is my car. I actually documented this entire experience. I really encourage you guys to go watch the video that explains how I bought my car and why I think it's one of my best purchases. It has allowed me to build credit so well, and I absolutely love my car. I have a Mercedes-Benz Gla 250. You just said you don't like luxury things. Why are you saying that a Mercedes-Benz is your best purchase? My car is my best purchase because I didn't compromise on anything. I wasn't actually planning on buying a Mercedes. I had no idea that this car would be the one that I would find, but my dad actually came across it. It had absolutely everything on my list. It has really great safety features, drives really well in snow. It had the light interior, a sunroof, an upgraded audio system. It was just the full package. I also love that I bought my car used, so it's a 2017. When you buy a car directly off of the lot, you're obviously losing a huge chunk of money that you're never gonna get out because you're just buying that face value. So I think buying a car that's a couple of years old is the perfect way to go. My car was a lease return. We had all the information on it, so we knew it had never been in an accident and was really well taken care of. I'm very happy with my purchase, and I'm really happy that it has provided me an opportunity to grow my credit score to be extra amazing. I put more than 2/3 down on the car in cash, and then I took out a small loan that I pay every single month. My interest rate is like 2.1% or something really crazy small. Every time I get in it, it brings me joy. I have no regrets about it. My first worst purchase. Now, everything that I put on here, like at a time, it wasn't the worst purchase, but looking back, I had to like pick out things that I thought were like maybe not the best. The first worst purchase that I have written down is my iMac desktop computer. Now, at the time, I did use this computer a lot and I really needed it, so I actually bought that computer with my graduation money as a grad gift to myself for college, and I did use it the entire freshman year to edit a bunch of videos, and I used it also most of sophomore year. It was in my sorority room and it kind of acted as a TV, so I do think I got like my money's worth. However, after those 2 years, I never touched that computer pretty much ever again. It's just basically like giant storage container because it has a terabyte and it's pretty much filled up. The computer itself is super slow, and that's why I stopped using it, because I was really enjoying editing on it. I loved that I could like sit down and have like a more professional workspace, but after it started slowing down and I couldn't get it to work again, I was like, you know, this is not worth my time. I ended up being super frustrated with it, so now I just kind of lug it around and it's just sitting in my room in its box, probably not going to be touched for a very long time. I wish it could have lasted me longer than 2 years, because I'll go on to my best purchase, which is the laptop that I have now. I have the MacBook Pro, and I spent extra money to upgrade the processor and the memory, so I have a whole terabyte on my laptop. I forget which processor I have. If I can find it on my computer, I'll list it on the screen. But that was the best purchase because it has extended the life. Knock on wood. I feel like my laptop is going to be like listening to me and it's going to start crashing. For the most part, I've had zero problems with it. I'm a firm believer in, if you're going to spend the money and get an Apple product and be as hard on your Apple products as I am with editing, then you might as well spend the money to get the best of the line so you can go as long as you can without having to replace it. Oh, here is my juiciest regret. My $2,100 one-way ticket to Spain. Now, a lot of you guys have heard me kind of mention the Spain story. In summer of 2019, I went to Spain. I was working with a company. There's a lot more to the story that I won't get into, and some of you guys have heard the story. If you follow me on Instagram, I went live and explained the full story, but the beginning part of this story was actually something that was my fault. I got so used to repeating that I was leaving for Spain on this exact date in July that I was just convinced myself that that was the day that I was leaving for my flight. My mom and I went to go check myself in the night before. The flights were actually booked for me, so I didn't really have control or a ton of information about my flights, but we managed to check myself in without any errors, and everything was in military time, so it got a little bit confusing. Sure enough, when I arrived at the airport at 4:30 the next morning, the lady could not find my seat on the flight. I just handed her my printed out copy of my ticket. I thought there's gonna be no problem here, and she just looks at me and she says, "Oh, I see the issue. Your flight was for yesterday." And I was just like, good. I ended up having to make a decision on what to do. The way I could get out of my contract was to pay the original plane ticket that the company had got me. I think that was around $1,500. Then I also was like, I have a moral obligation to do my job and to fulfill my obligation. I had already prepared so much to go on this trip. We tried calling the airlines and explaining the situation, trying to get a discount or book another flight. Nothing was gonna work. It was obviously my fault. I took full responsibility. That I did not realize that I was traveling longer than 24 hours. So the day that I left was different than the day that I was to arrive. When we first were looking online, we could only find tickets for $3,500 one way to fly myself to Spain literally the next day. And I was like, there's no way I can spend that much money. That's just too much. But then we found a ticket for $2,100, and I decided that I should be true to my word and fulfill the obligation. So I spent $2,100 to go on a trip where I received a scholarship to study abroad, and the whole experience was pretty crazy. I wouldn't say I regret going on the trip, but it was definitely not the smartest financial decision in terms of a business move, because I ended up paying for many things out of pocket. Please double check your itinerary and your flight tickets. Ugh, that was an expensive one. Number 3 on the list of my best purchases is my Rose Bowl tickets and the entire trip for my roommate Taylor and I to go to the Rose Bowl in 2020. Little did we know what 2020 had in store for us, and little did we know that that was going to be our last football game. We ended up winning the game, and it was the best trip ever. I'll leave a link to the vlog if you guys want to watch it. I think we were there for like 72 hours, and I will never forget how enjoyable those 72 hours were. People always say, spend your money on experiences and you won't regret it. And that was one experience where I agree with them. Here's another juicy story. Number 3 on the list of the worst purchases that I ever made was the $2.75 tea that I bought to try to save money, that I ended up spilling on my best friend Katie Mac's laptop, and I completely ruined her laptop and had to buy an entire new bottom of the laptop. I was in Starbucks, we were studying together. I didn't want to buy a $5 Starbucks, so I thought it would be way more cost efficient for me to buy one of those teas in the glass jars. Saved like $1.50, set it next to my laptop, and we were on a really slippery surface sitting right next to each other. And because the drink was on the right side, when I went to go type something, I had bumped it, and Katie was also sitting on my right side, and the entire thing of tea splashed onto her laptop. It was a moment of sheer panic. If this ever happens to you, do not try to turn the laptop back on, because that's actually what I think ruined it. Like, we had immediately flipped it over and we're trying to take care of business. We were both trying to see if the laptop would restart, but I think that ended up frying it. Immediately turn it off and throw it in rice. We had it sitting in a bin of rice for a week, and yeah, that baby was never gonna come back on. We had to go to the Apple store. It was a whole ordeal. It also happened during finals week. We had only been friends for like a month. The nice person that she is lied to me and said she had nothing on her laptop, even though she had an entire essay written for finals, and she had to rewrite it all. So Katie, thank you. I'm glad we're still friends after this. I think the price ended up being like $750, and Katie's parents like would not let me pay for the entire thing, so they ended up splitting it with me, which to this day, thank you so much, because that was pretty much gonna wipe out like my entire savings. I will never drink liquids near a laptop or a device like that ever again. Lesson learned. And Katie even had Apple Care on it, but because it wasn't like the highest level of Apple Care, it didn't cover accidental damage. So that was a good one. The best purchase, number 4, my camera equipment. This is something that I've always invested in. I've been doing YouTube for 6 years. It's gonna be 7 years in June. I have always spent a lot of money on camera equipment, upgrading my lenses, purchases, and it's something that I never regret. I always am happy investing in it. It's been an investment that has definitely paid off in the long run, and I love filming and making videos for you guys, trying to learn more about my cameras. Every once in a while, I'll take senior pictures or family portraits. Just a little fun hobby. Definitely has paid off and definitely not a regret in the slightest. Number 4, the worst purchases. You could say it's not really considered a purchase, but it's technically money out of my pocket that I spent for a service, and that is me signing with an MCN, a multi-channel network. When I first started YouTube, I think I had about 500 subscribers, and I got an email from Style Hall. If you guys have been on YouTube for a really long time, you might remember a lot of popular YouTubers were signed with them. I was convinced that if I were to sign with them, I would be like the next big YouTuber. My mom even read over the contract, but we just didn't really know what we were doing at the time. I ended up being stuck in that contract for almost 4 years, and they received 30% of every penny that I made on YouTube, and they did absolutely nothing for me. The whole business was whack. I never had a contact that I could email when I had issues with my channel. I was pretty much like on my own. At one point, I even saw a lawyer to try to get out of the contract, and he was laughing at the contract because he said that nowhere in the contract was there anything that this company had to do for me, and he said that these companies pretty much wouldn't even respond to like a threatening letter, and I was stuck in the contract for a long time. A lot of my friends also experienced a similar thing, and I know we were so frustrated. The end of the story with Style Hall is 2 months before my contract was set to expire, they went out of business. It was the best email I ever received. I was very excited. You should definitely be very wary if someone tries to contact you and you're a small YouTuber and they make you all these promises. Just go see a lawyer or DM me your situation, and I'll try to help you out with whatever I've experienced, because I totally regret that. This is a great one. Best purchase number 5 is my gel manicure set. When I was in college, my roommate Tion and I, we decided that instead of constantly paying to go get our nails done, which was getting very expensive for all the different formal events that we had in our sorority, we should just split the price of a gel manicure set. I'm gonna link the one that I have down below. It's from Amazon. It's pretty affordable. She bought the nail polish, I bought the light, and together we had our own little salon. It was amazing. We got like this little set of 6 different polishes, so we always would have our friends come over, do their gel nails. They turned out looking so nice. Now, they didn't last as long as a salon gel manicure. Like, they would look absolutely perfect for a week for me, but what I also loved is that at the end of their week, instead of getting chips, you could just peel them off and they wouldn't be very damaging to your nails, where like a salon gel manicure can definitely like rough up your nails underneath. So I had a great experience with them, and I think it's worth every penny. I still use that set to this day. Worst purchase I've ever made, number 5, is my 1999 Nissan Pathfinder. This was the first car that I ever bought for myself. My dad and I split the price of it. It was $3,000. I saved up $1,500 from nannying, and my dad's deal with me was always that he would match whatever I had saved. I found the car, and I was so excited about finding a car that I could actually afford that I just convinced myself that I liked this car. I had test drove it one time. I didn't even have my license yet. We just bought the car because it was such a great deal. And I think I should have been more honest with myself and known what I had wanted and what I was looking for, and tried to maybe look around. Now, parts of this car were really great and really served me because the car was huge. We used to call it the tank. Fit a ton of stuff, and I was able to move back and forth to college a lot with this car, but it sucked gas. It was super hard for me to park. I never felt one when I was driving the car. I always felt like I was working so hard to try to control it. The thing was just a beast. My mom and I actually ended up trading cars because I wasn't very confident driving that car, even though I probably would have been fine. But she loved driving it to work because it was great on the highway. But around town, it was just like such a clunker, and we were always so afraid of having to fix it up, how long it was gonna last. The car actually still was running by the time I got my new car and sold it. The beast did not have all-wheel drive. We actually sold the car for $4,000, so we made money off of it, which was pretty amazing. So maybe it wasn't the worst decision. I tried to think of things that I just semi-regretted. Like, that was kind of a weird purchase, and I remember feeling a lot of regret and buyer's remorse for it. Best purchases, number 6, something that I have never regretted spending money on: organizational solutions. Bins, drawer organizers, fridge organizers, extra furniture for storage. It definitely can add up, but I have never regretted reorganizing a space. My most recent video of me reorganizing the messiest areas in my home. I bought some new pieces to help find solutions to these problems, and I don't regret spending money on that stuff whatsoever because it provides me so much peace of mind. If something in your home is not serving you, trying to find a solution for it, even if that means having to invest in your home. Worst purchase number 6, my ski boots. If you are a skier, you know how important the boots are to the package. It's probably the most important thing that you can buy. Good fitting boots are hard to come by. I regret not going to the absolute best person who knows the most about buying ski boots. I had gotten new boots when I was in high school that were race boots, and I thought that they fit and they were great, but they were a whole size too big for me, and I ended up having a lot of issues racing in college, constantly having my boots too big, never having them fit. I went last year and got myself a new pair of boots. They were $500, which was a lot of money, but I decided it was important for me to invest and I'd have them for a long time. And now, a year later, and I don't like the boots. The boots are my size and they are great for some things. Like they're a great recreational when I'm coaching standing around boot because they're fairly comfortable. But because I'm a racer and I'm used to having a really stiff boot, I'm constantly like craving something that's tighter, and I feel like I'm shifting back and forth, and I have tiny little ankles that aren't held very well by my boots. So a part of me regrets being talked out of a race boot. I should have just known myself and known what I wanted, that I've only ever skied in race boots, and that's what I would be happiest in. Know what you want when you're shopping and do not settle. Do not be talked out of something that you know you're used to and comfortable with. This is a really good one. My 7th best purchase is insurance for my vlog cameras. You guys know that vlog cameras just really take a beating. You're constantly taking them everywhere, and I am usually never a person to buy insurance on anything. They're always like, you want to spend extra and get insurance? I'm like, no. But the one thing that I am so convinced you should get insurance on is your vlog camera. This literally happened the other day. I had my G7X, my other vlog camera, and I just set it on my tripod because my little like tripod mount was at home or something. I had jumped off the bed and bumped the tripod. Camera went flying, hit my closet wall, and the lens wouldn't close, the screen wouldn't work. The whole thing was toast. I was obviously pretty devastated, but it's very comforting to know that you can just prance right into Best Buy, hand them your camera, they ship it back, and I got it back like 3 weeks later, fully repaired, and I did not have to pay a penny. I have a 3-year insurance plan on both that camera and this vlog camera that I'm filming on right now. Splurge on the insurance for something that you're constantly carrying around and it has risk for breaking. Worst purchase number 7, the magazines. I was filling out a review for something I'd purchased, and it said if you gave a review of your experience that you would be able to get some sort of like prize, whatever. I get to the end of the survey and it's like, cool, you get a whole year subscription for 4 magazines free of charge, but you have to put your credit card in. I thought I was just getting all these like awesome magazines, people eating well, Better Homes and Gardens. Back then I wasn't very good at constantly checking my credit card bill and reading through the entire statement line by line to make sure I understood every single purchase. So it was very sneaky. I had no idea that I was secretly paying like $15 a month. And they were little charges like $240 or, you know, $639. Very random. This went on for probably like a year. Make sure you check your credit card statements. I called up that number. I didn't want to do it, but you need to talk to an actual person because the first time I had called, I don't think I actually canceled anything. I was just going through a robot. So make sure you talk to a customer service representative and cancel all of that stuff. There's no need for that. That was like a whole nice meal that I could have bought for myself every single month that I was just wasting on magazines that honestly I didn't really have time to even read. Never put your credit card in for something that's supposed to be free. My 8th best purchase, paying the money to get all of my home videos digitalized. This can be an expensive process depending on how much footage you actually have. My parents had filmed a lot of my childhood, and I had a lot of that footage on VHS and tiny like little films. And at one point I was thinking about just doing it myself and buying a converter. That still would have cost me like $75, and it would have wasted so much of my time. I just knew that that was going to be such a frustrating process for me to have to go through. I ended up paying someone in Portland. I'll put the website for the person who I used. He lives in like Northeast Portland, and he was able to get all of my footage digitalized. We actually got one chunk of it digitalized for me to use as a part of my graduation video. I'll leave it linked down below and in this video if you guys want to go check it out. That video means so much to me, and those memories are very, very precious precious. We had a really good experience, so we ended up paying to get the rest of them digitalized for my mom for her Christmas present, and I still cry rewatching those home videos. It's just amazing to kind of see your life from like a different perspective and to get to know even my grandparents, who I really only knew up until when I was 6. Definitely worth every penny, and otherwise the longer you wait, the more that the footage can deteriorate. The 8th worst purchase that I've ever made is cheap luggage. I have gone through probably 3 to 4 different suitcases that I've bought at like Home Goods or TJ Maxx. I fall in love with it. I think it's super amazing, but it ends up being so cheap and it ends up breaking every single time. I have the Away suitcases. I think they're great. Now, you can find some really good high-end suitcases at places like TJ Maxx, but you definitely need to know your brands and read reviews on it online so you know what you're getting yourself into. The 9th best purchase I've ever made is my Mattress Topper. It is a 3-inch mattress topper from Costco. If I can find brand, I'll try to like also put it down in the description box. Buying the 3-inch topper is everything, and I actually have a pretty firm mattress underneath it, so together the combination is ideal for me. I had the same mattress topper, but the twin version in my dorm room and in my sorority room. I've just like never slept so well. Another bad purchase that I made is cheap cookware. I know it's really expensive to buy different kitchen materials for your first apartment, so it is understandable. Like it's not like I was gonna prance in there with like the finest cutlery ever. At this point, I've pretty much replaced almost all of the pots that I had in my original like barberware set. There's like a cheap brand that everyone has. It's like the most generic pots and pan set, and it does not hold up. You actually can find some nicer pans for a good deal. Like I really like the pans from, oh my god, what is her name? She has a collection at Target and they're really good. I'll try to link who she is and her pans down below because I think they are like 10 times better than the original set of pans that I had. I really regret having my little Cuisinart knives that I got from Home Goods for like $10 because they're not very good knives. But if you also just want to like buy some cheap stuff for you to ruin in college, that also works, and it's kind of part of the process of adulting is getting excited about getting new pots and pans and knives, because it does feel like a major upgrade. All right, we're almost to the end. The final best and worst purchases. Number 10, the best purchase I've ever made, or best investment I've really ever made, is my Roth IRA that I've started. I think I started it when I was 20 years old, so I've had it for almost 3 years, and I invest $100 a month in my Roth IRA. It sits there, it grows. There's that crazy statistic where I think if you start in your 20s investing every single month in your Roth IRA, you can be a millionaire by the time you're 65. Retirement plans are not like they used to be, and it's something my parents have always really instilled in me, is to prepare for retirement. You never know what's gonna happen, and I'd love to have a nice cushion there. So it's something that I definitely recommend looking into. It's really not difficult to start one at all. It's automatically withdrawn from my account every single month, so I don't even have to think about it, which I think is great. The last worst purchase that I've ever made, textbooks. Now, this is a really hard one because there are some times where textbooks are really worth it. There's a couple of textbooks that I actually purchased in my undergrad that I will probably use again because I'm going into the medical field. For example, my Atlas of Anatomy is my Bible. Many of my teachers never even reference the textbooks, or the textbooks are actually in the library and nobody knows this, but they're just sitting there waiting for you to rent. So if you ever really needed to go look at a textbook to study for a test or for an assignment, then you could just go to the library or rent it yourself. You can save so much money. Buying a brand new textbook is like $200. If you can, figure out other alternatives. Really try to talk to people who are in the class before you to see if you truly do need the textbook or not. I also have always said that another great benefit to being in a sorority is being able to use textbooks from older girls, borrowing them. It's not like your whole study group needs 10 textbooks. And the worst part about this is that when I would go to resell my textbooks, the school would pay very, very little money to buy them back, or they would refuse to buy them back because it wasn't the proper edition anymore. You don't have to buy your textbooks at the start of every single semester. It's okay to wait, and it's okay to realize, oh no, I need the textbook halfway through, and then make a decision to find it or rent it off of Amazon or some other great place. I hope this video was helpful for you. Maybe you found it interesting. I haven't made any crazy decisions that I regret that are like huge purchases. So hopefully we can continue on that train and be financially smart. Today's question of the day is going to be for you guys to write the best purchase that you've ever made and the worst purchase that you think you have ever made, and let's make it a judge-free zone. I want to be really open with you guys about this type of stuff, but I know the topic of money can be like very touchy. I'm obviously extremely grateful for everything that I have. I've definitely learned the value of money and how important it is to work hard for what you want in life, something that my parents have instilled in me from a very young age and something that I hope to hopefully instill in my children as well. Give this video a thumbs up if you guys would like me to post more financial content. I'll talk to you very soon. Adios.
I mean, you know I ain't lying, 'cause I hate wasting time. You said